For weeks, media outlets explained that the migrant caravan was a hoax designed to boost GOP midterm turnout.
They're telling you the existential threat to America is a bunch of poor refugees 1,000 miles away.
This group of folks, we don't even know where they are. They're way down there.
They've been running on an imaginary caravan.
This stupid caravan. You know, it's a lie that this caravan is a problem of that magnitude.
Right. Programming on the caravan was propaganda.
One thing we've learned about mass immigration over the past couple of years is that all good people support it. Immigration is the ultimate moral litmus test. When a caravan of poor migrants from the third world shows up uninvited on your doorstep, the decent among us step forward to welcome them in. That's commanded by the moral code of cable news, and more importantly, by the poem at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. Only bigots and haters slam the door. That's what they've been telling us in the media now for years. CNN's Jim Acosta has made that point repeatedly. Well, it has finally happened. The caravan has arrived. But here's the funny part. It didn't arrive in our country. It arrived in Mexico, in the border city of Tijuana, just across the fence from San Diego. The people of Tijuana are Mexican citizens, so by definition, they are good people, much better than you are. They're more welcoming and compassionate, less selfish and less American. They must be thrilled by the new arrivals. As immigrants, their new Honduran neighbors will grow their economy and add rich new diversity to their culture. That's what low-skilled immigrants always do. Again, a point that Jim Acosta frequently makes. So are the people of Tijuana grateful for this caravan from Honduras? Fox's William Lajeunesse went there to find out firsthand. Here's what he discovered.
Should this caravan have been stopped at the Guatemala border?
Of course. I agree with that 100%. It should have.
Your country have to be beware of these people because they are people, they are bad people.
Because they don't belong here, they're just migrants, but it's like the same, in the same case, it's like when Mexican migrants going to the U.S., they're undocumented.
You know of incidences here in Tijuana and in other cities that some of these people that are coming into with these caravans are committing crimes. This is not about racism. We don't dislike a certain group of people because they're from a country, one country or another. We are here because our government has not taken control of these, what we call invasion.
Whoa, wait a second. That's not the script we expected at all. The migrants are disruptive. They, quote, don't belong here. Some of them are criminals. It sounds like what they're saying in Tijuana is when Honduras sends its people, it's not sending their best. And that's a racist statement, obviously. We know that because Donald Trump said something like that about Mexico once, and the geniuses on cable news never forgot it. They're still talking about that line years later as evidence of Trump's white supremacy. And yet here you have non-white people in Mexico saying pretty much exactly the same thing. How can that be? Let's check back with Tijuana to make sure we heard that right.
Donald Trump tenía la razón. Es una invasión. Lo que dijo Donald Trump es verdad. Es una invasión.
Donald Trump was right? Wait, how can someone in Mexico say that? Everybody in Mexico hates Trump. He believes in borders. Nobody in Mexico believes in borders. They're better than that. Well, maybe that was just a lone extremist talking, some crazy person who found a microphone and a TV camera. We better check with the elected mayor of Tijuana. If anyone can speak for the people of that city, he can. Here's what the mayor had to say about the migrant caravan.
Ninguna ciudad en el mundo está preparada para recibir esta, si se me permite, esta avalancha, ¿no? Este tsunami.
An avalanche? A tsunami? Note the dehumanizing terms he uses. If this were a liberal arts college in America, the mayor might be suspended for saying that. He'd definitely be in some kind of diversity re-education class by now. If he worked at Google, he'd be fired instantly. But he's not a student or a tech drone. He's the mayor of Tijuana, where people can still say what they think without fear of being denounced by Don Lemon on CNN as a white supremacist. So they do say what they think. And in Tijuana, what they think is that a massive and abrupt demographic change is destabilizing to a society, no matter what the color of the people involved might be. It's particularly destabilizing if you're not rich, and most people in Tijuana are not rich. Even in Mexico, they're wary of ignoring the law completely. and treating borders like they don't exist, they know that doesn't end well. Most people know that doesn't end well. The difference is, in Mexico, they can say that out loud. We could learn from that.
Thousands of Central American migrants are at the U.S.-Mexico border, awaiting their chance to apply for asylum. Some are trying to circumvent what can be a lengthy process by crossing the border illegally where there isn't a checkpoint and then claiming asylum while already on U.S. soil. It is those would-be illegal immigrants that President Trump targeted in a November 9th proclamation, saying anyone who crossed the border between official points of entry would not be eligible for asylum. But the courts have again ruled against the president, with U.S. District Judge John Tigar, who was appointed by President Obama, writing, quote, "Whatever the scope of the president's authority, he may not rewrite the immigration laws to impose a condition that Congress has expressly forbidden." The Trump administration can appeal, and the case would likely be heard by the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which has already ruled against the president on a number of immigration issues.
It's a terrible thing when judges take over your protective services, when they tell you how to protect your border. It's a disgrace.
ACLU just sued the Trump administration for the right for people to enter this country illegally and be able to claim asylum. The Ninth Circuit has lost their minds.
Right.
And this is going to continue. This isn't so much about the rule of law, it's about an attack on the Trump administration. But when he did this asylum proclamation, he based it on the same general principle as what they call the travel ban. We won that in the Supreme Court. We'll win this. The problem is, until it gets to the Supreme Court, thousands and thousands and thousands of more caravans going to come because of this ruling.
Essentially, they're legislating. They're saying what to do. Some judge sitting in some location very far away is telling our incredible military and law enforcement what to do, and it's not right. I know that Chief Justice Roberts, John Roberts, has been speaking a little bit about it, and I think and I have a lot of respect for him. I like him and I respect him, but I think we have to use some common sense. This Ninth Circuit, everybody knows it. It's totally out of control.
All righty. Well, President Trump is also warning that he may have to shut down the entire U.S.-Mexico border.
If we find that it's uncontrollable, Josh, if we find that it gets to a level where we are going to lose control or where people are going to start getting hurt, we will close entry into the country for a period of time until we can get it under control.
The entire border?
The whole border. I mean, the whole border.
In the many times we've spoken, you've explained that immigrants to the United States from Central America are a net addition to our economy. They're America's strength. They make this a much better country. Given that, why isn't Mexico jumping at the chance to absorb these migrants into its economy? Why is it wasting this human capital?
Well, the reality, Tucker, is that most of the immigrants that you see behind me, and as a matter of fact, they're not criminals or terrorists or not even immigrants. They're refugees. They don't want to stay here in Mexico. They want to go to the United States. Their plan is just to have a better life in the United States. And I think we have to concentrate now on what the role of the United States should be in all these crises.
How many of these migrants are you personally taking responsibility for? How many are going home to Jorge's place in Miami at the end of the day? And please be specific.
Yeah, well, I think that, again, this has nothing to do with individuals. I think President Trump's immigration policy has been a complete failure.
Have you donated money personally?
Tucker, I hope that,
Wait,
that you could help
you
them
donated
too,
money?
and I wish I could help them too.
Well,
I wish we could do that.
Well, sure you can.
I wish we could do something like that.
Jorge cares more than you do, just not enough to help.
At this point, you're looking at individuals from, we know there's at least 500 criminals. We know that we've got to be able to at least assess them properly in getting in here. What do you think they should just be allowed to come in, or do you think that there should be an orderly framework here?
I think there should be an orderly framework here. And from what I understand, the people in this caravan are going to seek asylum, which is legally the way you can come here. In one of the ways you can come here legally. So I don't think they're climbing the wall. I don't think we needed to send troops to southern Texas
climbing the wall right
when
there.
the caravan's actually coming to Tijuana.
They are climbing the walls.
A representative of the group Angels Without Borders say the migrants are considering something truly unbelievable, a human stampede. across the southern border of the United States. We live in a very weird time because we're told the country's on orange alert. So it takes you hours if you're just flying home to see your grandmother to get through the airport. Transport Security Administration has rules on the density of your pumpkin pie because if it's too moist, it counts as a liquid, so it has to be part of your checked baggage. That's what lawful Americans who are residing in this country entirely legally have to put up with. But at the same time as they're on orange alert, people can apparently just walk across the border with impunity. At some point, the public will get sick of the obvious contradiction in that, won't they?